We'll never smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome, guys. Good morning. That's right. Miss Liz is here in the morning, and we're already going to India in the morning of tea time. We have an incredible guest in the house, and we're going to talk about Hello Hindi today with Eka Rawat. And if I pronounce her name incorrectly, I'm going to get her to pronounce it for you guys all out there. And today we're going to be serving real world Hindi. That's the tea we're going to be serving today in the house of Miss Liz. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to all those platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Yellow, Clapper, Lemonade, all those good ones, and give those a like, follow, and subscribe. And check in the descriptions because Miss Liz puts all the information in there as well for the guests, so you can follow and see all the incredible work that they're doing. Then jump over to the podcast apps: Podbean, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, Deezer, Apple Podcasts, Sprinkle, and Spotify. And if the ones I haven't mentioned, Miss Liz is on all of those as well. Give those a like, follow, and subscribe. Get these tea times out there because they do make a difference for the guest and for listening audience that resonates with the stories. Also, jump over to babyboomers.org. Miss Liz has been partnered with them with over 3 years. And if you're looking to be on different podcasts, they have over 50 different shows that are on there. And you can get featured on those podcasts as well if you reach out to those podcast hosts to get featured. So let's get started with disclaimer and then a beautiful intro. And then we're going to get Eka in here and we're going to share some tea and have a good morning with everybody. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real-life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by the guests is based on their own experience and is perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All guest viewers and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or check out my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. Miss Liz welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you're ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where every conversation reminds us that language is more than words. It is culture, identity, connection, and a bridge that brings people together across the world. Today's guest is passionate about making language learning fun, accessible, and meaningful when helping people connect with one of the world's most spoken languages. Please join me in welcoming Eka Rawat, educator, language coach, entrepreneur, and founder of Hello Hindi, a platform dedicating to helping learners confidently embrace the Hindi language while celebrating the richness of Indian language and culture. Through Hello Hindi, Eka has created a welcoming space where students of all ages and backgrounds can learn not just vocabulary and grammar, but also the traditions, stories, and cultural understandings that give language its true meaning. Her mission is rooted in connection, confidence, and the belief that every new language opens the door to new friendships, opportunities, and perspectives. Today's tea time will explore learning Hindi with confidence, the beauty of India language and culture, education through connection, breaking barriers through communication, and empowering lifelong learners. Echo reminds us that every new word we learn is another opportunity to better understand someone else's world. So grab your cup and join us for a vibrant conversation filled with culture, learning, inspiration, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let me get Eka in here. Let's spill some tea.
Hello,
Well,
hi.
welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here on Tea Times. Okay, if you could tell us a little bit about who you were as a little girl and who you are now.
Wow. As a little girl, I was always the front bench student, always doing everything right, had to be good in academics, sports, everything. All things had to be A1 for me until things stopped working well. As someone who had always wanted to be, oh, I have to be first in academics, I have to be first in sports, I have to be first in extracurricular. And then to suddenly realize that in the race to do all of that, I had actually lost connect with my own roots, with my own language. A lot of aspects of my identity were actually lost in that pursuit for material success, for pursuit to be the best, to be at the front. A lot of crucial things were lost. So I think that realization really marked a very important transition for me from being little girl wanting to be in the front bench to the person who really had to introspect and evaluate the core aspects of life.
So, and who are you today?
I would say today I am a person who is ex- very satisfied and very content with what I do every day. There is a vision that I have, and it's extremely satisfying to actually have to pursue it every day. It's amazing to feel that, oh, I'm actually doing something which I feel good about, and I'm actually doing something which other people can feel good about. It's amazing to witness it. Oh, I am someone who can contribute something to someone's life, and it gives me also a lot of happiness. So for me, for example, if I teach people and I see people share their first milestones with me, they share their journey with me, that's what makes me want to wake up every day and do what I do.
So, I'm going to bring up your books because I found your books and we're going to bring them up and we're going to share a little bit about the books and then we're going to get a little bit into what inspired you to create Hello Hindi. So, let me get the first one in here that I have. Is this one. So, for all my viewers and listeners that can't see the video, if you could just share what's on the screen.
So this is a book which is made for absolute beginners, it says. But a key thing here is communicative milestone framework. So this is a book which is made for people who are learning Hindi, not to give an exam. They don't have an exam. They don't have to give an exam in a university. It's not a requirement at college or school, but they want to be able to talk. And the way that the Hindi books are designed these right now, they are designed with an assumption that you already know the language. They're not designed keeping non-native speakers in mind. They are not designed keeping in mind that there are people who may not know the script. They are not designed keeping in mind that yes, there is a huge gap between the language that we speak and the way it exists in our literature. And hence, I had worked on communicative milestone framework, which is a structured framework, but based on the different communication milestones. So what this book does is, once you have done certain stage, once you have done certain sessions, certain learnings are there, this book is designed for students who want to learn to speak Hindi. So it has very clear communication milestone that after this lesson you will be able to talk and introduce with your family members. After this lesson you will be able to request an order. After this, so there are communication milestones, and then under each milestone there are exercises for people. Now these exercises are not just grammar exercises. There's nothing wrong in grammar exercises, but the exercises here are especially for non-native learners who are learning to speak. So for example, there are audio notes, there are conversation, there are WhatsApp messages, the snapshots of WhatsApp messages, there are memes which are there are comic strips which are there, lyrics are there. So that is what this book does, and it is made for beginners. And there is book 2 also, which is now already there. And the idea is to enable people to keep learning Hindi for the real world that actually exists. And while there is literature, great, but to actually learn Hindi, which they will use in the real world.
So, Eka, tell me how you came up with Hello Hindi. How did you get the name?
Hello Hindi. The name, if I have to talk about, it had to be a word. Hindi had to be there. That is the core of what ties all of this together. And it is a lot of times students, people who want to learn a new language. I think not just with Hindi, there is a certain inhibition, certain question. People doubt themselves even before taking the first step. So the idea was that hello, you're just saying hi, you're just stepping into it. You step into it, then it's my responsibility to make sure that you love it, that you like it, and then you do the rest of it. I just need you to say hello, say hi, and be open to just introduce, and then we'll take care of the rest. So that was the idea of Hello Hindi, and it ties very well with what I want to do with the platform as well, right? That you have to feel that you belong. You don't have to feel that, oh, just because you didn't grow up speaking Hindi, that you can't speak it now. Just because you feel that, oh, I have an accent, maybe I can't speak with native speakers. No, all of us can do. All of these are part of our identity. We belong, we learn, and we speak. So that was the idea, to keep the name Hello Hindi and not have some very heavy burden words there.
So, why do you believe language is never a neutral skill?
It is never. It comes from my personal experiences, and it comes from the work that I do. Like I was saying, I've grown up in Uttarakhand, which is a North Indian Himalayan state. It's a very small state in India. Um, Growing up, my parents never taught us what was supposed to be my mother tongue. Have grown up speaking Hindi, I've grown up learning Hindi, and I've done it with full dedication. But my parents put so much effort for me to learn Hindi and English properly, was because they had struggled a lot, because they couldn't speak it properly. Correct. They spoke our native language, which is Garhwali. It is the language
Oh,
spoken by a very small community. It is an endangered language right now. Now, because they had faced a lot of problems with that, they didn't want us to face that, right? Now, in a world and it did hit me at some point. It did hit me that, oh, I don't know this. I should know my language. And I did put efforts, by the way. I did then take sessions, learn, speak, and I practice it. I have books of it. I practice it with my family every day. But then that made me realize immediately that in a world today where, material success is linked very closely with who you are, how you are, and it is defined in very specific terms. It's a global world. There are intercultural couples. People are engaging all over the world. Your work can take you anywhere. In a world like that, language is not neutral.
yeah.
Even in corporate spaces, even if you speak English, for example, if I talk about India, the way you speak it also gets judged. Right? There is a certain pressure to speak it in certain way. So it's not neutral, and not just in workspace. In family space also, it determines power. A lot of students who are learning Hindi from me, some of, like, if they are getting married into a family where people speak Hindi, and for that matter any language which they don't understand, and if you're not able to participate in those conversations, if you're not able to influence decisions and conversation which will impact you as well, yes, it impacts the power, it impacts how much agency you feel you have. So uh, language, and the fact that there is a whole history behind how languages are controlled, propagated, maintained, sustained, removed. So it has never been a neutral skill, and more so today in the global world that we live in.
So, Eka, how many languages are in India?
Oh, there are few official languages. I don't think there is any count. So, for example, the language that I am talking about, uh, it's not even, for the longest time, government didn't even recognize that as a language. That kept getting recognized as a dialect, correct? And then there's a whole fight which is going on. I think there are 22 or 24 official languages which you see on the note, but that does no justice to the dialect. Like, I think there must be 20, more than 20 languages just in the northern belt itself. So there actually, I don't think there is any count of number of languages which are there. There are, unfortunately, a lot of languages are not recognized itself.
Wow. I just learned something new because You know, when you think of a country, you think it's one language. You don't think that it's multiple languages.
It's not. It's not. There's so many. You go from one region to another region, and you will feel like in my own region, for example, uh, people speak, and it's not just the tone or the accent which changes, right? The vocabulary also changes, and hence for Hindi also, when I teach conversational Hindi, that is the reason I keep saying real world, real Hindi,
Yeah.
because there is no a language which has survived for so long, a language which has been influenced by so many other languages, a language which in some form or way is spoken by so many people. There is no one defined book way that it is actually spoken. So many different ways that it gets spoken. Some of those get recognized as dialects of Hindi, some of those are recognized as their own language. So in India has so many language, and some of them are known very popularly, like Punjabi is known, Marathi is known, Hindi is known, Urdu is known, Bengali is known, but then there are so many more. There is no limit. I don't think there must be a count, and I'm sure it is more than 22 and 24 languages which are recognized in the official language. That's just the official language.
Wow. So the ones that are not even registered, there's more.
There is more. There are so many more. There are so many tribal languages. There are so many regional languages that are there.
So what are the differences between the different languages? Is it the role of the letters? Is it the way of pronunciation? What is the difference?
The script itself is different. The script itself is different. The obviously the vocabulary is different. The script itself is different. Now there are certain languages, for example, which you can write in the Devanagari. So, for example, Devanagari script, the script which we use for Hindi, can be used for Hindi, and it can be used, for example, like Marathi is another language which can be written in that. So I can read Marathi, but I don't understand any of those words. I can read it because the script is same. But then there are languages like Punjabi, which has a completely different script of its own. Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, all of these have their own script. The words are completely different. Now there will be few words, for example, in Malayalam. I'm just giving an example, which are probably taken from Sanskrit root. So
Okay.
sometimes if I hear Malayalam and some small portion I hear and I suddenly understand, because the same Sanskrit root, for example, exists in Hindi also. So I'll grab, but I don't understand the language. But then, for example, Punjabi is language. Few words are now popularized by Bollywood, so I may understand it, but I don't speak it. This place I am right now, Punjab is a border state, but I don't, I don't understand that language. So similarity is that yes, there are languages which share certain roots. A lot, some of them have, they have Sanskrit root words. Some of them have incorporated words from Farsi, Persian, which Hindi has also incorporated. So there may be some similarities there, but there is huge difference in terms of script, in terms of the basic grammar and the sentence structure, syntax, all of that. There is a huge difference there as well.
So like the writing and writing style is different as well, right?
Yeah, right. The script itself is different. So obviously the way,
Yeah.
now if I'm right, Urdu is probably the only one which is written from, I would, what is this, right to left. I think
Okay.
all other Indian languages are written from left to right. That's the
Hmm.
one thing which is there, but otherwise script itself is different. So the alphabets are also different. The way the sounds get created is also different. There are certain sounds and vowels which will exist in one language and not exist in another language. So, for example, I hope I'm pronouncing it, Tamil, the R sound, which is there in Tamil, which is there to some extent in Marathi, it doesn't exist in Hindi.
Okay.
There are words which are there in my language which don't exist in Hindi. For example, my language, the Garhwali language, has so many words for the different kinds of smell which is there. It has a different word for the smell you get when paper is burned, the different kind of smell that you get when a cloth is burned. All of those things are there. It doesn't exist in Hindi. Hindi has only two words: good smell, bad smell. Because the regional requirement, it's mountains, hilly terrains, you needed to have different words for smell. So because of the different regions, geographies that these languages have evolved in, the vocab is also, there's a huge difference in the vocabulary as well.
Well, it explains why a lot of cultures are having that disconnect because they don't understand each other.
We don't, yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true.
You think of a country and you think it's like us in Canada. It's French and English mostly, and a little bit of Spanish. But I can read French, but to speak it, I have a hard time with it. I struggle with it.
Hmm.
So, do you think that that's the brain uh, that it has the neuroscience of the brain is not working properly to pronounce words and to understand words, or
You're saying the when someone is actually able to read something and not able to understand it, or you're able to
yeah,
read but you're not able to speak. See, speaking is something which I've noticed whenever I teach students Hindi. Speaking is something which uh, is most challenging. So it's a lot of times, a lot of students, they understand when I teach them the logic. They can understand, they can read, but comprehension is there. But to be able to speak is something which happens the last, because then you're doing more effort. It happened with me also, right? When my native language as well, even though my parents didn't actively teach me that language, but I had grown up hearing that, listening that. So I always understood it. I could always read it, but I could not speak it, because to
okay.
be able to speak, I need a very either you grow up speaking it, or you had need to have a very good clarity in terms of why someone is saying the way the things that they're saying. And hence, in when I do Hindi sessions with students, there are times, a lot of times when students are there who have done on some application, they've probably done the full course, everything is done, they know it, but they're not able to speak in the first session itself. And then it's a journey, and then they are always like, oh, I'm questioning myself because I've been reading for so long, I've been learning words for 2 3 years, but why am I not able to speak? I said, a, you never spoke. Speaking is a thing which takes most effort. You understanding does not mean that your mind has the ability to put all of those thoughts together, to stick it together and speak. And second biggest aspect that comes in is also confidence. I'm not sure if that's the case with you. That's the case which happens with a lot of new learners. They have everything here, but it takes a lot of confidence also to be able to speak. So then it's a lot of work with the students to be able to speak, even if theoretically, conceptually, it's all there in the mind.
It makes a lot of sense, Eka. The lack of confidence because it's a different language, right? It's out of your comfort zone, so the fear kicks in.
Yes, that's there. That's there, and that is one thing which I actively work on. That I'm always telling students that that's the last thing that you need to think about, because you have already taken the difficult step. You have already taken the difficult step of wanting to learn a language which you have no clue about. A lot of the students have never even visited India ever. I'm like, you are learning a new way of thinking. Like, be a little kind to your brain. Your brain is trying to form new ways, new patterns of thinking. And that is the last thing. And I'm always tell my students, like, when they struggle a little bit, I'm like, just be shameless. Be shameless. That's the only thing that you have to do. Be shameless. And then I actively give them exercises that today, if, for example, if they have an Indian partner at home or if an Indian friend, play this game with your friend. So then activities of that sort help, right? You play a game. Then while playing a game, your focus will probably be on winning, and then a little bit of that awkwardness can be addressed slowly, slowly, slowly.
And that makes a lot of sense. And for the listeners out there, have you ever felt like the fear has held you back, like from learning? Because uh, when I learn a new language or I try to learn a new language to speak just a few words, just to get to know a few words. My grandson's from Jamaica, so I'd like to know a few words from Jamaica, right? What is one story that you've noticed with one of your students where they were really surprised by how fast they learned Hindi?
How fast that they learn Hindi. I'll tell you one element, I'll tell you specific story also, but one element of surprise which happens with a lot of my students is, so there's a structured curriculum that I follow, right, for communication milestones. Once they have done the first 30 35 sessions, I'm like, your first stage is done. We will not directly jump to stage two. Give time to immerse yourself in what we have learned. And I give them a test and then some workbook exercise. So every time that the students have taken tests and then I've connected with them for the debrief, they're always, oh my God, Ekta, I know so much. And I said, yes, you know, obviously you know so much. Oh my God, all those, there were 50 questions, I knew them. And I said, yes, you scored great. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize that I know this much. So and that is one of the reasons why actually, because I know, like, before giving the person the quiz, I know that they'll be able to do it. And it is less for me to evaluate how much they've learned. It's more for them to feel that, yes, sometimes you don't appreciate, you as in the thick of the things, you don't appreciate how far you have come. And looking at that test score and seeing that, oh, I sat 1 hour and I answered all the 50 questions and it was done great, I know so much. I think uh, every time that a student by chance has an interaction with native speaker, and then they suddenly realize that, oh, I was able to respond, that's a beautiful moment. There is one student of mine, she is Vietnamese, she's living in Australia, and then one day she's like, oh Ekta, every day I go downstairs and I have pani puri, this Indian snack, and every time I talk with that lady in English, but today I talked with her in Hindi and she responded and she understood me. It was so nice. It was such a great evening. She may have said two sentences, maybe, right? How much conversation do you need to tell someone that you want something? But then for her, it was like a real milestone that, oh, I actually had a conversation with a native Indian outside the session, outside the class, and an unknown person for that matter, right? So every time students share this kind of thing, there's a person who once shared that how she, for the first time, had an interaction with her Indian mother-in-law who didn't know English also. So that was a very emotional moment for her also. That, oh, I was like, we were finally able to chat without someone in between. And I said, yeah, it'll happen more. It's great. It's beautiful. So these are the moments when students are also sometimes surprised that, oh, I managed to do that. And this is how it happened. So yeah, that's beautiful for me.
I like that the response brings a connection, right? It
Yes.
connects people. You know, language, we take language for granted so easily sometimes that we don't realize that just learning a few words gets us to connect with people.
True, true. And you will realize this if you, I don't know, whenever you travel to a new place, at least in India, it happens. The moment you speak in their tongue, even if you speak broken, in India especially, people really appreciate when you speak their language. People are not very like, they won't correct you. There are people who may correct you all the time, but there are people really appreciate the fact that, oh, someone else has taken the effort to learn the language that I speak. It's my language, and you have learned that. So people also show a lot of generosity and warmth when you talk with them in their language. And every time I connect with learners who travel a lot and they travel to India, and they always say this, that, oh, if you talk in Hindi, people are way more generous. There's certain warmth that you get when people talk. It's because it connects, no? It feels related. It feels nice.
Well, we have a question here. How did growing up in Akahan influence your passion for language preservation?
First, the personal experience there, like I was mentioning before, the realization growing up where Garhwali is supposed to be my mother tongue. It is, right? And feeling that sinking feeling that I'm not able to speak the language of my own ancestors, that I'm not able to speak the language in which we are doing folk songs and prayers at home, and I'm not able to speak that. I'm not able to have a conversation. Like my grandparents started speaking Hindi very late, right? So not able to have a proper conversation with them itself made me realize the importance of that, and I like very clearly understood the need to belong, the need to associate, and the need to preserve, because this language, my own language, is endangered language. Correct, the status is endangered. Uh, Second, when I grew up speaking Hindi, and I'm glad that grew up learning Hindi as well. There was a certain, my parents being teachers, there was a certain focus on speaking it right, speaking nice, correctly. If you speak, they used to always tell me, and while I don't like this, if you're doing, for them, it was a very academic thing there. If you're saying something in Hindi, you say the full thing in Hindi. If you know the right words, pronounce it properly. So there was a lot of focus on that. And then I used to do a lot of Hindi debates. I used to do a lot of elocution, writing, all of that. And that helped me actually connect with a lot of people who were doing something related with literature. And I then fought with my parents to take Hindi as a subject. They're like, no, 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 you're good in academics, take medicine. be a doctor. And like, no, now I like Hindi. I want to study Hindi. And I fought, like, I didn't have to fight a lot, but like they didn't push. They were being teacher, they had this understanding that it shouldn't push. But I could say they're like, and we know you can do great in science. I said, yeah, but I'll be happy. Like, I want to study Hindi. And then I ended up doing my master's also in Hindi. And everyone was like, no, why? Why are you doing Hindi? What will you do with that? I said, I like it. Let me do it. I enjoy it. So all of this obviously shaped my journey to start Hello Hindi.
Well, in India, are the children pushed to be like scientists and engineers and stuff like that from the families?
There is that pressure that is, see, it also depends how much resources and accessibility you have to the bigger world, right?
Yeah.
I don't come from a very affluent family. I don't come from a family which has resources for or awareness of a lot of things, right? So for a middle class family that doing science, they know, okay, you can be a doctor, you can be engineer. If you do humanities, do you want to be lawyer? So these look like they give a sense of stable, clear path. Or you get into a government job. So the idea is that the pressure is not like it's there is a reason for that, right? People want, in the crazy mad world that we live in, some stability, some economic surety, right? For so many generations, people have not had that stability. So people are also like, oh, we have enough resources to educate our child in science. Sometimes getting educated in science costs more as well, right? So people want to make the best, and in their view, becoming an engineer can make you do great things. So they want to do that, so that okay, there is some surety that is there. I would say it's changing, though. It's changing now a little bit, it's changing. And there is always this assumption that, oh, people who do good in academics will study science. People who do little less will do commerce, like accounts and all of this. People who do worst will do literature, history, all of that. And the school cutoffs are like that, no? So because of that, that whole vibe is there that, oh, it's if you're good, you would be doing science. That whole stereotype is also there.
Well, okay, I'm going to bring up your second book that you have, and we're going to talk a little bit about that one now. So let me get that one. And just again, let the viewers know what we're looking at so they can't see the image. So we're going to talk about this one now. So tell us a little bit about this one.
We are looking at the India Travel Guide by Hello Hindi. Little bit Hindi, little bit India. This India Travel Guide is made keeping in mind that when you travel to India, obviously, knowing language helps, and cultural nuances, knowing and being sensitive to the cultural nuances also helps. And these two don't exist in isolation. Language gets influenced by culture and vice versa as well. So in this book, right from you landing at the airport or station, wherever you land, to your full journey, there are different chapters which are there, which give obviously certain operational helps and support in terms of what to expect, how to do. And Hindi is also explained, that Hindi that you will need when you do all of this, but with the right cultural nuance. For example, in India, if you meet an auto driver or a taxi driver on the road, I'll give you an example what I mean by Hindi in context of the cultural nuance. Um, Probably, I don't know, in West or in some countries, you may say sir or ma'am, probably. In India, it's very common to call them bhaiya, which is a Hindi word for brother, correct?
Okay.
And if it's a lady, didi, which is a very common word for sister. We don't, or if someone is elder to me, people may call uncle and auntie also very easily, which sometimes people may feel very odd. Why do you call random person? So if you are going to take an auto or a cab, and if you call that person ha bhaiya, yes bhaiya, that helps. That breaks a slight barrier, correct? Because bhaiya is not just brother for us. Bhaiya is a social term for people that you meet, because you don't want to call everyone by their name anyway. People who are elder to you, you don't want to call them by name. So the language which is there, and the cultural nuance which is there, and how to use it, and then there are examples which are there, there are conversations which are there. Then there are certain nuances which help. For example, if you're visiting, a lot of people come to India for pilgrimage, like for religious holy places also. If you're going there, what kind of questions or what kind of sensitivity can actually help you and keep you best prepared? keeping your best interest also in mind. So the book, and it all of it also comes from my own experiences, right? So I've also tried that while I maintain this good balance between the language and the cultural nuance as you travel in India. And I also share my own anecdotes. I have had the privilege of traveling almost all, I think, except east part of India. I think I've traveled almost entire India. So my own experience, because for me, even though I'm Indian, for me also there were a lot of learnings which were there on the way, right? When I traveled across India in terms of culture, language, people, food, all of this. So I've shared anecdotes from my own travel also, so that you know that these are the things which you can expect. These are the things which are okay. These are the things that you need to be careful about. So that is what this book is about, to make your travel uh, so that you're not very, a lot of people are very conscious while coming to India. Oh, lot happens, this happens, that happens. Just to calm you down, this will help you in that.
I like that you mentioned, that you got to see a part of India, because a lot of people, they, when in their own country, they think that they just live in one little circle, right? There's so much to see in each of the different countries that people don't realize until they travel within their own countries. And then they're like, oh my goodness, there's a hidden gem here. There's a hidden gem here. Oh my goodness, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this food. Or is there different foods in different parts of India as well? That
Yes, different foods, different tradition, different flavor changes, the kind of ingredients. Because India has such a different geographical terrain across India. Is you have Himalayas, then you have plains, then you have desert, you have coastal line. So your geography also impacts the food that you have, correct? And there are so many different communities, so many different religions which are there, so many regional identities which are there, and food and culture, and what is okay in one place, what is not okay in another place. All of those things are so different, and it was amazing for me also to actually experience all of this, and to meet people who spoke differently than I did, who did things differently than I did. And obviously food, uh, to experience the food from different parts of India is amazing experience. So yeah, that is there. A lot of diversity in our beautiful country.
So, can you give us an example of a dish that you really like eating in India?
I was extremely surprised that I ended up liking vegetarian food in Tamil Nadu, because I'm a non-vegetarian. I like the way I eat my mutton and chicken, and I relish it. That is my comfort food, and I always go back to it. And when I went to Tamil Nadu, the friend who was helping me explore the place, because he is also from there, they are vegetarian, and I was eating a lot of home cooked vegetarian food there, and I was like, wow. So they were serving so like vegetables, right? So in north, like I am used to making a lot of vegetables in oil, like you put it in oil and a lot of masalas and a lot of flavor. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see how a lot of those boiled vegetables were there, and there was flavor in it. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that spinach can be made in a light manner also. I had no idea that vegetables can taste so light and so yummy as well, because I never thought that they could. So that was very interesting for me. I got sick because of heat at the end of my trip, and the only food I was able to eat was the nice vegetarian food of that place. And I'm like, this is amazing. I had never eaten seafood before. I come from a landlocked mountain area, right? So I had eaten fish, but I'd never eaten seafood. When I was in Maharashtra, a lot of Konkani food, like the crabs are there, and then the lake prawns, and all of this is there. I was like, wow, I had no idea that it can be cooked like this thing exists. This is so yummy, and it was tasty. And in Tamil Nadu also, I tried some food, like to sit by the next to the water body where they catch the fresh catches there, and they cook it and they make it and they serve you right there.
Oh,
So that was amazing, because I had eaten some food before. I had no idea it can be cooked like this and served like this. And I can like vegetarian food. And then there is food which I had never eaten, and to try it and to like it, that was also amazing.
it's amazing how one country has so much to offer, right? And that people
Yes.
just say India, oh well, we're just going there for, for holy places or culture or. but there's so much to offer that people don't realize. So where's a hidden gem that you found in India that you'd like the viewers to check out?
I all the places, I think wherever I've gone, I've ended up cycling, cycling in the local routes. I would say in Kerala, when I don't know the name of the place. In Kerala, there is a like few 45 kilometers from the main Kochi city. There is this huge stretch of forest area which comes, and even when you go from airport to Kochi also, or from Kochi towards the forest area if you go, and it is such a there are such good roads. I come from a state where there is a lot of beauty, but we don't have a lot of good road. uh, but there was such good roads, and to be on that road and just cycle along that road was beautiful. Even in my own state, while I come from Uttarakhand, when I went to Rishikesh, which is just 30-40 kilometers from my home, and I had no I had no idea that people go to Rishikesh for yoga. A lot of people from all over the world come to Rishikesh to do yoga. I went there for adventure sports, and one day I just picked up a cycle and I started cycling, and then I realized there is this whole track and no one was there, and you can actually cycle along the Ganga. So river Ganga is flowing, and you can just cycle along the Ganga in Rishikesh, which I had no clue, and no one was there. I was like, oh, everyone is sitting there doing yoga. You can actually come here and cycle along the nice river. And I just cycled and cycled for hours and hours, and it was beautiful. And it was
See,
just 45 kilometers from my home, and I didn't know that. I got to know when I went there.
I'm like the same thing. When I find something that's so close to home, I'm like, how did I not know that this was here?
Yes, that was nice. That's nice.
Uh, Why is learning cultured context just as important as learning grammar?
Because they are not inseparable. Grammar doesn't exist in isolation. It exists because of a reason. And there is, if you're just going to sit and memorize grammar and not understand why that exists in the first place, it will get erased from your brain today, tomorrow. Sometime it will get erased because you're just trying to cram things then, right? You're not understanding why it exists the way it exists. If you really want to be able to speak Hindi for longer time, it's very important for you to understand the cultural context. For example, if you say just you, right? If I'm talking with you, I'm saying you are great. I will use the same you for my grandfather. I will use the same you are great. I will say you are great even to a little kid. I will say you are great even to my friend. But in Hindi, that's not the case. In Hindi, the because our cultural context is such that we give the respect that you give to elders is very important. How you treat people who are elder to you, how you treat people who are younger to you is very important. It's a very close knit social circle which exists, and hence we have three different forms of the same pronoun in Hindi, and three different ways in which I can actually refer to people in front of me: aap, tum, tu. Correct. So now you need, then you understand, then you start appreciating the reason why these three exist. Then you start appreciating, oh, aap is required because I really need to be respectful towards someone who is two generations above me, my grandfather. Oh, I can use two with someone who is my very close friend of mine. That's okay. So then you start appreciating why it exists, and then it stays with you with the reason. You are not just cramming things up then. So hence it's very important to understand the cultural context.
So you mentioned three forms. So what are the three forms?
I was saying aap, like forms of you, aap, tum, and tu. So aap is the most formal, most respectful form which you will use with people who are elder to you. You will use with people you have probably just met, right? If you and I were talking in Hindi, I would have called used aap with you. Tum is slightly less formal. It is still respectful. So I may use tum with someone I know for some time, but probably I'm not very close friends with. Then tu is the most casual one, which a lot of times people mistake as disrespectful. It
Oh,
becomes disrespectful if you use it with the wrong person. Tu is something which I use, for example, with my siblings. I use it with my friends, like my close friends. I use it for my partner. So it is supposed to be. Now, if I end up using tu for a person who is of my grandfather's age, then it becomes disrespectful. correct? So these are the three forms, right? And there's a reason why this exists. And this country, the whole respect to elder thing keeps manifesting itself in so many different ways across the language. For example, people sometimes ask, we use plural forms sometimes for single person also a lot of time. It doesn't make sense. Now I can ask you, ki, haan, that's how it is, right? I can just tell you that ki, this is the rule, this is how you say it. But then if I actually give you the reason for that, that okay, in some scenarios, elders are given more respect. It's sort of like think of them as having more weight to their persona, right? So you don't treat them as singular, you treat them as plural. You add more weight in the way they're referring to them, and hence you treat them as plural. Then there's a logic that I'm not just asking, I'm not asking to shut your brain and just cram it. There is a reasoning for it. There's a reason why it exists, and you appreciate the rule also. Otherwise, you get frustrated. Otherwise, it stops making sense, right? So, yeah.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense, right? To use different words. It's like brother and sister, right? You don't use that with. I know I worked with a lot of people from different parts of India a couple of years ago, and they always called me sister, and I always called them brother out of respect, right? So the
Yes.
respect of the elder, respect of a generation, and respect of the culture. Uh, do you use brother and sister with everyone you meet, or just certain people?
So I was giving you the example of Bhaiya and Didi also, right? Previously, Bhaiya is brother, Didi is elder sister, correct? So if there is someone I meet who is my age, slightly elder to me, I call them Didi, I call them Bhaiya, correct? And especially if someone is slightly elder to me, I don't want to call them by name. I wouldn't want to call them by name, so I will say Didi probably, or I will say, uh, Ria Didi, Liz Didi, like that I will say, right? So I, out of respect, I would want to say. Now, obviously, it depends a lot on how what people are comfortable with. So yes, it's very common to use Bhaiya, Didi for people who are not biologically your siblings.
Yeah, a lot of people like I know I grew up with anybody that was older than me was auntie and uncle. And then when I got older, a lot of my family members said, "That's not your aunt, that's not your uncle." I said, "But we were raised to call elders auntie and uncle out of respect,
Yeah.
or yes
Yeah.
sir, yes ma'am." You know what I mean? Like we were taught that respect for the elders. I find in today's generation we're losing that respect for the elders. People are just like, "Hey, you." uh, what?
Is it? No, I'm aware of the whole culture of yes, ma'am, yes, sir. In US and certain states, I keep seeing like I keep seeing in other languages. Also, I keep seeing in some cultures in US and in some states. I think in US also, it's expected for people to say yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And I say, oh, that's out of respect. But I don't know. You feel it's happening like kids nowadays are not that respectful.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think they're losing that connection, right? They're not understanding the traditions and the cultures. They're creating their own kind of unique worlds, right? Where they're losing that respect for the elders.
I don't know if kids are creating their own world. See, if new generation creating their own world is something which happens always. Every generation does that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would want to call that as something which is bad. Respect to elders also, right? It's a double-edged sword as well. I shouldn't be just praising everything, right? So respect to elders also can be seen as a double-edged sword. Does it sometimes become so much that you are not able to say no to someone who's
Okay.
elder to
Yeah.
you, even though you know they're wrong? Does
Yeah.
that happen? Yes.
Well, I think it needs to be the mutual respect, right? Respect the elder and
Mutual
respect the
yes.
younger. Because we're in a culture now, in a time in the world where the younger people have a voice, where generations before they didn't have that voice, they didn't have that, where they could give their opinion. It was always what the elder said, and it doesn't matter what you thought. Where today, in today's society, we're learning that we have a voice and that we can share our differences in that.
Correct. And actually, the way parenting is being done, like aap tum tu also, if I take that, it's a very basic lesson in Hindi, right? Uh, like I always tell people, ki, oh, with younger kids, generally people say tu directly, like if there's a kid in my home. But with the new generation of parents that I'm seeing now, millennial parents, with the kids also, they talk with their own kids with app a lot of times. And it's, I would see that as a step in a positive direction, because when there is so much social connect, when the families are so closely tied, it is possible to have your individuality blurred, and it is possible for the youngest in the family to not be taken seriously. So when I see in today's generation that parents kneel down, speak at the level of the kid, and call them up and talk with them up, and the kid also then talks with them up, I think it's an amazing step in the correct direction, right? So see, there are some places in India, by the way, where people don't even say "मैं," which is I. That I word is not said. Even when they talk about themselves, they use the Hindi word for we.
Okay.
That says a little bit about the individual and the social thing that I was saying. I'm not saying it has a lot of positive aspects, but
Yeah.
I think little bit changes of this sort can be seen in positive way. Um, then someone not being respectful can always happen, and that can always happen in any scenario, right? But starting to give respect to your younger ones and them reciprocating that uh, is a great way. At the end of the day, I feel the kids or the young new generation will follow what they see or what they witness.
Absolutely.
Positive is what I always hope for.
Absolutely, right? There's so much negative in the world that we just want to be positive. And, by learning and sitting down and having these open conversations with different countries and different cultures and different traditions, that's how we get to connect with one another. Like Canada and India are connecting right now through this conversation. So, it's having that open mind to
Yes.
understand.
There's so many people from Canada also, like who learn Hindi and take sessions in Hindi. Kids also. You were mentioning about kids and respect. There are kids who are learning Hindi from me because they want to be able to speak Hindi with their grandparents, right? There are kids who are growing up outside India. Expat Indians are there outside India in different parts of the world. And kids are learning Hindi. And a major reason, obviously, is that their own language, they want to stay in touch. But a thing which keeps coming up is that, oh, we want to be able to talk with the grandparents. I want to be able to, when grandmom calls, I want to be able to talk. The kid is putting efforts. That is amazing. That's beautiful. That is a form of respect. I would feel that you are putting the effort so that you can connect with your elder generation. Correct?
Absolutely. So why is preserving indigenous languages so important for future generations?
Our history, our sense of our identity lies in it. It's not separate from us. I am a culmination of so many things, right? My language, the indigenous language, is part of who I am. And hence it's important to preserve the indigenous languages, the sounds of the language, the words of the language, the way it is said, the way things are expressed, carries the memories of who you are. There is a reason why my regional language, for example, has a way of saying hello or namaste from far. Why? Hilly terrain, people are in far distance, low density. You're not always able to go and touch feet from far. And there is a way to do that with the language, right? And these unique little things exist in each language because of where it is. So a part of your culture, a part of who you are, a part of who your ancestors have been, and also a part of who you aspire to be exists in your indigenous language. And if you lose it, you lose all of those memories. You lose all that has been passed on from one generation to next generation. And even when people who say they don't care, at one point it hits you. It may hit you in full awareness. It may hit you in the middle of the night. It may hit you one fine morning. It will hit you that this is my language. I was supposed to learn. I was supposed to take it forward, and I didn't. That hits no matter. I have seen it happen with so many people. I have seen it happen with myself. So, yes, because it's a part of who you are, it's a part of your identity, and you are going to shape it, change it, and the vice versa as well. Hence, it's very important to shape it, to
So,
preserve it.
Eka, do you have any plans of writing any other books?
Yes. So right now, the same series, right? The communicative milestone framework that I mentioned, which talks about different communication milestones according to which learner gets a very clear path of progress. So what is happening in Hindi right now is that so many people want to learn Hindi, the right resources are not there. So either you get lost, you're doing thousand things, but you don't know what you're doing, Hindi does not have a CFR kind of framework, which European languages have. And I can understand a little bit about why that probably is the case. So, communicative milestone framework is to give you a structure so that you know what you're doing and why you're doing, so that it gives you progression. I'm here, and in 6 steps, I will be here. But it doesn't make it theoretical and apart from the way the language actually exists in real life. So right now, 2 books are already there, which is stage 1, stage 2, and then the other 4 will also come for the students who are in intermediate and advanced stage. And all of them will be strictly tied to very clear communication goals, and all of them will have the fun that Hello Hindi stands for, which is real life conversation, chit chats, memes, songs, WhatsApp chats. All of these things will be there.
So, Eka, can you tell everybody where they can get these books? Are they only digital books, or can you get them online? Where can they get the books?
The travel book is available online on Amazon, but all the other books are there on my website, which is www.thehellohindi.com, which is THEHELLO, hellohindi.com.
Well, I learned a lot today. So, what final message would you have for everybody today?
For everyone, I would say that acknowledge your language truth or language reality. Don't run from it. It can be scary. Just acknowledge it and have the courage to take the step to actually change the reality. If it puts you in even a little bit of discomfort, just don't go ahead without investing something in it. But have the courage to acknowledge your language reality and how it's associated with your self.
Well, thank you so much. And what's one word in Hindi that everyone should know?
I would say probably namaste, which is the way to greet, is one word that everyone should know. Which is the first thing that you say when you meet people, which is namaste.
Namaste.
So,
That means pray, right?
naman is you're folding and you're bowing down in front of other person. Naman, it comes from the word naman, which is namaste.
Namaste. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation with you today. I enjoyed the people tuning in and watching and listening, who brought your questions as well. I couldn't do this without all of you guys. I got to travel to India today in this little white chair of mine, and we got to learn a little bit. So I'm just going to do a quick wrap up of what today's tea time was, and I'll be back at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. We have 3 shows today. So
Thank you.
what a joyful and inspiring conversation we shared today. Eka, thank you for bringing your passion, warmth, and dedication for education and culture connection to the tea time table. Your work reminds us that language is one of the greatest gifts we can share because it opens hearts as much as it opens conversation. Today, we explored languages, learning, culture, education, confidence, and the importance of embracing diversity through curiosity and understanding. One of the strongest takeaways from today's conversation is this: when we learn another language, we don't just gain new words, we gain a new way of seeing the world. Through Hello Hindi, you're helping people build confidence, celebrate culture, and create meaningful connections that extend far beyond the classroom. You reminded us that communication is not simply about speaking, it is about listening, respecting, and appreciating the stories, traditions, and experiences that make each culture unique. As we close today's tea time, I leave everyone with this thought: what new door could open in your life if you were willing to learn something unfamiliar today? Because every language we learn teaches us not only about others, it teaches us something new about ourselves. Thank you, Eka, for sharing your knowledge, your culture, and your heart with the Tea Time community. Until next time, keep learning, keep connecting, and keep serving real life tea, one conversation at a time. And today's takeaway is language is more than communication. It is connection, understanding, and a bridge that allows people from different cultures to meet with respect, curiosity, and kindness. And I'll see everybody, and we'll do this all over again at 3 p.m. If you'd like to know more about Miss Liz, check out www.misslizteatimes.com or check out the YouTube channels and all the good platforms. Again, Eka, thank you so much for joining me on Tea Time.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Thanks for amazing questions and a great conversation. This was amazing.
Thank you so much.